All right, here we go again. So, certain entities are receiving it up right now. That would be the counties, whatever two counties these are. I'm not sure what county Gibsonia is in. I know Butler County's up here. There's another location, whatever county that is. I think it's in Butler County. Right. They'll receive, you know, the Tractor Supply will receive an up. Right. Well, I've always been ever since the first time I went to Tractor Supply. I've been in Tractor Supply inside. That's the way it works. You know, I guess it's the York store, just short. Maybe in Seven Valleys. I can't remember. So I needed something. And the weird part is, I went to get a snow shovel yesterday. I've been to Tractor Supply in years. I used to just like go there because I just thought it was so cool. It was like a museum for me. I could go through the artifacts and the and the riches of Tractor Supply, and just kind of browse. It has a certain feel to it. And so never got really much from it, except when I needed things. They were there a couple times from where I couldn't get them other places. Right. Uh, well, yesterday I went to get a snow shovel, and I wanted to get the one from there instead of Walmart because of a certain feature. And today I went to the one in Gibsonia. They didn't have what I needed, but they showed me where I needed to go to get it. So they get enough. Thanks, Larry. And then the Penn Township Sergeant will probably get enough, as long as she's not part of the scam. Because again, that's how spies work. Again, I'm not saying anything against her. It's just at this stage of the game, I have to live a life a certain way. Right? Now, someone could help you all day, but they're just worming their way in to whack your head at a later date. Right? That's what spycraft does. Again, this will help us define the level of technology they're using. Right? And in fact, I received a bonus where I think half of my order is going to be paid back in rewards. No, so I'm in Santa Fe. Was probably the last time I went to Oklahoma. No, Oklahoma. It's the last time I went to try. So when I go there, they start cursing me out of it. Right? That's a dirty cop. That's part of what the dirty cops and the dirty watch list is doing. Right? So you go somewhere where you're in, and then they start cursing you out, and they'll use bullshit arguments. The planet's a lie. If you're in the deep state, you can lie about anything and it has an effect. It uses the wealth of the deep state. You saw the payments. I mean, obviously, if they're going to pay those kind of payments that you saw USAID and other people being paid for nonsense contracts, yeah, they're going to pay to have me done and won't even give a shit. It's not real money to them. $1 million isn't real to these people. $1 million government dollars is not real. It's just a a game chip, right? I I don't know why Trump cut the money off. I mean, I made a couple of remarks, but I wasn't like blessing taking people's money. I mean, there are obviously people out there that use it for cocaine, fentanyl, whatever they're buying. Right. So I tell them what they want. They can. It doesn't have to be where they go and they use it, directly for cash. I mean, that's one of the scams. But they could say, okay, buy me 10 packs of ground beef or whatever the money buys, right? And they go and buy that and they give it to them. So it's less traceable. And then they take that and trade it for drugs. Thanks, Larry. That person might have a store where they sell stuff. People that are on Snap go and buy it at a different store and then give him the items for cash or drugs, or her items. The items. Buy me $100 in food and I'll give you $50 for crack cocaine. Boy, my Amazon guy was, or no, FedEx. The FedEx guy was losing it. He had a rough life. He goes, I hate my life. I felt bad because he's carrying my thing. Well, he says everybody orders the cheapo furniture that I see. That's all most people can afford. There's no other way. I mean, you can't get it at Walmart. All right. And if you can't get it at Walmart, then you can't get it. All right. But he was really pissed off at this lady who had money in a big house, who ordered like a whole set of patio furniture that he had offload. And he goes, don't buy a TV from me. Don't buy a TV if you're on this route. I said, I already got a couple. He goes, well, his television's banging around in the back. I don't even know. There's so many potholes. I had one of those days in the military. The mud backpack one. That was like the last part. We were walking for days, and our final mission was uh I hadn't slept. Got poncho liner got too cold at Fort Campbell, and we had to walk and do a mine sweep of a road. And while we were doing that, it was raining and all that. And while we were doing that, they had our backpacks in the back of a trailer on a Jeep. Eventually got Humvees, but it was back in the Jeep. Actually, we may even had Humvees. For some reason, they were using a Jeep. The Jeeps were still there for a while, I guess. Or maybe they were there then. I can't remember. But they put it in a trailer in a Jeep, and the Jeep's spinning on the mud, and it's shooting the mud into the trailer. Mm. Thank you, Larry. So we get there after all that, no sleeping, it's raining, and we got to sit up a poncho uh, shelter, and we go get our rucksacks, and they're freaking just loaded with mud. I'm just like, Sergeant Pena had a, you know, yeah, I don't think Sergeant Pena is alive. I think he's passed on. Of all the people we knew, his drinking problem was so bad. I mean, he wasn't a horrible person, but he loved drinking. Right. And the life expectancy of a Mexican, I'm pretty much an alcoholic, I guess, to a certain degree. Isn't all that much. He was a few years older than me, I guess. Right. About 10 years, 5 to 10 years. Right. And military veteran, 101st, that kind of thing. Right. So I got to get somewhere here. But it just cost me some money. So The vibe is that they didn't access the apartment. I'm not sure if they did or not. That they just went up and unlocked everything. Because I do have an offline camera. But I'm just increasing that aspect over time. Remember, while you're climatizing, and if you go out in your vehicle and you drive or even walk any long, actually walk long distance, you have to bundle up. But you have to carry it on you. Because what you do, you climatize, you just wear like a turtleneck shirt and a pair of pants, and you don't. Because people tend to put their winter stuff on early, and then you end up, it's not as effective because your body doesn't adjust. So I'll walk around in just a turtleneck shirt. Well, then when you go out, you need to make sure that you bring the jacket, a pair of gloves, even a hat if you can. So the idea is, you bring your stuff with you, but you don't wear it when you're just like in the early stages of the winter. Right? And then when it really hits, you'll be more ready for the serious stuff. But even early parts of the winter, if you go out for a ride and your car breaks down, or you get in an accident, or whatever it is, run out of gas, whatever the crazy is, you need to have access to a winter jacket. You can bring a blanket, and then you're also ready to help other people if you find them and they have some situation. Right? You can, again, if somebody else breaks down and you want to spend some time helping them, you have a jacket, it's easier. So always be prepared to bundle up, even if you're, because that's the key, is to climatize. I couldn't climatize last year. I believe I possibly was drunk. I don't. It seemed like it. Yeah, people are doing me with it. What the hell didn't I? It's just making sense. They were in here. No, I'm not. I know I'm not crazy. What they'll say is they'll put in my, oh, he's just crazy. Nobody did anything. He didn't lock it, or he's lying. And they'll pay a few dirty cops, pay a couple of dirty politicians, pay a couple people in the neighborhood, and they'll all start. You get spiked, and they all start spreading rumors. They all start spreading rumors about the victim. So like that's what they do in the marshals. That's what we did in the marshals. Like you just think like you're just an average person. You're thinking, this is just a jerk, or right. But they're actually it's spycraft. They were paid and they would be paid to be spies within the marshal service to take it down for all those people that hostily took over government. All the rich people and the spies that were going to jail for pedophilia and everything else. Right. That's why they only want the rich kids in there. When they say college graduates, usually it's just rich kids, right? Spoon feds. Even if they're not rich, they're spoon feds. Right? Just to let you know, Phil Haney. It sucks what you did to him. Again, he wasn't a whistleblower. They forced him into whistleblowing. It's a scam that they play. It's a spycraft trick. They torture somebody for a few years and they steer them towards whistleblowing, right? But he was a spoon fed, Okay, just let you know, Phil Haney was a spoon fed. Right. No, they say, well, we'll do Larry like Phil Haney, and we'll eventually get the big bonus. Right. Phil Haney was a spoon fed. John Camuno was a spoon fed, even though he came from less than. I'm forced into homelessness as a child, on and off. Again, I don't see myself as a victim, but again, at a certain point, I do have to break it up. Right? But I try not to see it's your job to see me as a victim. My job to see you as a victim if you're a victim. Right. No, you all sell it out. You don't see anybody as a victim as long as you get some money. Right. No, it happened. The big thing is all of a sudden happened. He's just crazy. God will show him crazy, I'm sure. But if it's not here, it's in hell. It's not hard for the average person not to go to hell. I mean, you can even be a sinner because, again, you don't have the capability on this planet not to be. In fact, the people that are in churches use the Bible and that system of sin as like a spell book, a spell system. So, in other words, their goal is to make you look like the sinner. That's their stand. And in a way, you may be a sinner, but you're not held accountable for it because of that type of thing. Thanks, David. Again, the New Testament, again, it's just an extension of the Torah. If you know what it says, again, if you listen to a church, you won't know what it says. It's just a scam. You'll just be part of that. You'll just be hearing the contract. But the scriptures say who's culpable and who's not culpable, and levels of culpability. Thanks, Larry. So most average people on the planet, because it's increased, the level of devilry, the level of demonism. Now you would say that the level of sin increased. That's what he's talking about. No. The level of sin increased because you devils increased, including the devils in the religious organizations. Thank you, Lord. The sin is just a byproduct of what we wrestle against. And that thing is, again, it points to the wealthy people and the people that are in quote unquote power, but I call it they're powerless. They're powerless to refrain from doing Satan's bidding and causing people to fall and causing. The whole system that they're using against me was put into place by narcos and dirty spies. Hughes' family, they were cocaine cowboys. Him and his son and whoever else was part of it. I'm sure his wife was probably part of it. Ma Barker or whatever she was. And Marcia Hughes was a big part. He was part of the big thrust for the deep state to take over the government. But he's a big, big. Oh, I'm against that. He was one of the, the fake, I'm the people person guy, right? One of his juggling. He had people. He would have the deputies run all sorts of people all day long. He's working for the deep state, giving up private information. Yeah, probably they put a color of law thing in there. Make a one line statement as to what it is and what a scoundrel the victim actually is. They told me, and it was inside again, but that works pretty good with me. I mean, it's at least 75% that Hughes, when he was state trooper, was around officer suicides. I'm not so that there should have been an investigation once it was realized that the deep state existed. Right. And then it was suicide, deputies out. But once it was realized that Hughes was a deep state suicide assassin, right, he should have been investigated because it may not be suicide. Right. Or the rumors are some was a narcotics distributor working in the DEA or aided narcotics distributors while he's working in the DEA. And they were affiliated with the sex cult. They were working the sex cult. Some was an employee. Anything else you want to know? Probably related to the death of Jonathan. So again, at this stage of the game, Carnaby was one of those. Right. Oh, again, after Luna died, what happened? They put out a bunch of bullshit. The same thing when Carnaby died. So again, they try to have their cake and eat it too. So they're saying, Houston PD was wrong, but all of a sudden, you know, they got to disconnect themselves from him. So how he's this lunatic and this self-imagined spy and he's deep state. Right. You're not gonna live that life he was living without being a deep stater. Right. I agree. Well, I guess your little effort to supposedly get me to shut up kind of backfired, didn't it? Right. There's not really about that to begin with, no matter what somebody tells you. Very easy to get me to shut up. Just go away and give me my life back. Right. Although that would probably at this point require a house, a real house. Right. Could have got everywhere on my own if you hadn't blocked it all. What's the price? Oh, for the house? Well, probably at least 500,000. And then I probably need another 500,000 to make sure I can stay in it. So the deep state can't just raise my taxes and lie about my utility costs. Meter reading is hackable. But being in Pennsylvania is like such a different thing than everywhere else I live. Well, I think what happened was when I moved, everywhere was about the same initially. Right? And then every other place fell. I mean, it's fallen here, I'm sure, but they wouldn't be breaking in if they didn't have representations from somebody. Possibly the sack of the FBI in Pittsburgh. I don't know. Right. Yeah, but like I said, state officers can arrest a federal agent if they violate a state crime or state law. Right. Correct. Well, if they violate a state law and really doesn't have anything to do with their job, I mean, they're going to articulate that, but that doesn't mean that it stands up in court, especially with the current government executive branch insulting judges all day. See how it's getting, what a tangled web you're weaving because you won't listen to me. Right. They'll tell you, oh, he's destroying us. You're destroying yourselves. Right. If a state officer brings a case against a federal officer, a federal judge is going to be amenable to it. It's going to be more apt to say that it has nothing to do with his job, no federal supremacy. Right. Even if it's Kash Patel. Right. Yeah. Your, again, your stuff's only going to go so far. You can start arresting people like Comey and all that, but it doesn't mean people aren't going to bring charges against you. Well, because at a certain point they figure they got to do it now, or what's the important subscription pricing? Where? Oh, there. Before your trial, 15 days. A pre-build notice 15 days before your trial ends. 40 is the prorated price for the remainder of the current. So I got to check this out because I supposedly have something that I'm paying into that removes me from these sites that this other company is saying I'm on. Right. Now this company is pretty big, pretty mainstream. I guess the other one's big, but not mainstream. Who knows? I may have been paying with a credit card that no longer exists. I don't know. I may change the number and drop. I'll have to take a look. All right. So, but so I go to, so people I've been speaking to seem to be okay because my luck's picking up. Right. So, right. I ended up at Tractor Supply, but I go to Tractor Supply today and I believe I forgot my wallet. I just couldn't find it readily. I'm like, I must have got it. And, I was saying, Lord, please let there be a credit card here. And where's that one credit card that I've been looking for? I know it's in here. So I got into about, I kept looking in faith for about, a couple, maybe a minute, 2 minutes. And then took my hand, put it around this corner, and went, oh, there's a stack of cards in here. So again, that's lucky. So that's the kind of thing that we all experience in life until they curse us. So when the deep state's up, that people are unlucky. Right. No, I didn't say anything about the Trump administration. I spoke about one of his sacks, and it's just an example. Right. I mean, if the guy's or gal's innocent, then they yeah, use me an example. Tell them how they're going to hell, Larry. We're not allowed to say it. Thank you, Larry. That's what keeps agents going sometimes. The fact that you're all going to hell. You'll go to hell for that. I can find my wallet. It might be in my car. Who knows? I can't remember if I took it out to the vehicle. I just didn't feel like looking for it. I was like, I know there's a credit card here somewhere. I found the one credit card. Actually, two of them. I got to get the one reset. It won't, for some reason, when I go places, it tells me, again, they really did. What they did is they got mad because I was getting 3% back at Walmart for food. And all of a sudden the credit card wouldn't work. And I couldn't I haven't gotten to the fact of, hey, look, I got to get this thing working again. Because I get 3%. Because it's probably one of my bigger, other than rent expenses, is food. I guess that's true for most people. Right. Unless you're eating something that's totally bad for you, then it's cheap. See, that's the point that that RFK can't get to. Who can afford to buy the shit you're talking about? I mean, I have a priority on that, and I do. I try to eat as good, healthy food as I can. But you can tell people to eat healthy food all day. But when the food that's bad for me that tastes good is $2 a portion, and the food that doesn't taste so good to me, right? And but it's good for me, and I got to pay like $7 a portion. What do you think I want to do? So it's kind of aloof sometimes what these government people are saying. Oh, there's way too much sodium in everything. I have to it takes me forever to find stuff to buy if I'm looking for something new to buy. Way too much sodium. The best bread is actually the zero salt bread. It doesn't add when you put the stuff on there. Like, you don't need salt in your bread when you have salt and everything else you're putting on there. Right. What you're doing is your palate's being desensitized to salt, and that's what happens. Right. Now, I just ate a little heavy on salt yesterday, but I love this weather. Like right before the snow, just it's the ions, I think, in the air starts changing. Scrooge when he wakes up the next morning. That's what it feels like. Merry Christmas, one and all. It's ions. All right, I gotta find my wallet. What happened to my wallet? Not cool. I gotta clean out my vehicle. That's why I'm having trouble finding stuff. Well, I got trashed in the move. And they love it. It's like, look at his vehicle, it's trash. Look at a homeless person. That's where they are, man. They'll go to hell, believe me. See, there's a difference between me and them no matter what they tell you. Right. So I spend power. Hooking up new trailers. They're moving some trailers in here, I'll tell you that. So one of the trailers they built, I guess the inside, there's no windows on one side. And what I'm thinking is that the inside has some sort of, they moved where the kitchen was, it's probably some sort of different setup as to why one side doesn't have any windows, which is weird. But I guess the floor plan, whatever it is, they're never putting windows. And the guy's like, well, I have no idea why they didn't put any windows in that. I said, but the reality is you want enough windows to have some, natural light. But for each window you have to pay a little bit extra of heating and cooling costs. Right. So, windows have limited use if you're a poor person. Oh, here it is. I found it. It's in my fanny pack. I walked out without my fanny pack. Right. But I found those other credit cards, which was good. Now, yeah, Tractor Supply gets a big up. Well, because there was foreshadowing. So while I was at a Tractor Supply, they unlocked the locks. But I would buy something there the next day that was on clearance, while receiving a bonus of having half of the order paid for. And rewards. And then Citibank gets that. I think Citibank's helped a lot of us. Right. There was something fishy for a while, but it seems to have worked out. It could have been hackers or like a specific employee. I don't know. And that person could have been moved on by the criminals that there's people in the banks that work for the criminals. Right? And they do the spycraft stuff and they hack into systems and right. It takes a while to get them out of there.